Imagine you had a key. Not a metal one, but a psychological one. A simple list of words that could unlock a person's deepest, most guarded secrets. A key that could reveal hidden fears and, believe it or not, even solve a crime. Now, this might sound like science fiction, but for the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung, this was a very real and pretty revolutionary scientific tool. So let's get into this amazing story. Our story starts not in some sterile lab, but in a busy hospital. We're in Zurich. The year is 1908, and the world is really just starting to grapple with this new, incredible understanding of the human mind. And, like any great mystery, this one kicks off with a crime. A nurse realizes her purse, which she kept locked up tight inside her clothes cupboard, has been broken into. And everything inside is gone. To be exact, 70 francs are missing, which you have to understand was a pretty hefty sum of money back then. So, the investigation pretty quickly zeroes in on 3 of her fellow nurses. All of them could have gotten into the room, but here's the problem. There are no witnesses, no fingerprints, no hard evidence at all. The case is basically at a dead end. So, that's the big question, right? In an age before all the modern forensics we take for granted, how could you possibly tell who's innocent and who's hiding a guilty secret? Well, the answer was about to come from a totally new place, a direct conversation with the unconscious mind. And this is where the one and only Carl Jung steps into our story. You see, for years, he'd been working on a method, not to solve crimes really, but to map out the hidden corners of the human psyche. He called it the word association test. Now, the way it works seems almost, childishly simple. Someone reads you a list of 100 regular words, like head, green, water, death. The only instruction? Just say the very first word that pops into your head as fast as you possibly can. All the while, a psychologist is sitting there, timing every single response with a stopwatch. But the real genius of this test is what's happening just beneath that simple surface. And here's the core insight from Jung, which is just brilliant. He understood that these stimulus words aren't just labels. No. When you hear a word like, say, family, your brain doesn't just look up a dictionary definition. It lights up an entire universe of your personal feelings, your memories, your experiences. So in a way, the test is throwing 100 little miniature realities at you, and then just watching how you react. So this is the crucial part. The real clues, the real evidence, isn't in the words you say back. Nope. The real clues are in the glitches, the hesitations, the weird reactions, the little slips that give away some kind of hidden emotional struggle. Jung was basically looking for the ripples on the surface that told him something deep and messy was going on underneath. And he actually cataloged these specific signs, the little tells of these hidden conflicts, which he called complexes. So, for example, a really long pause before answering, that suggests there's an inner battle going on. Not answering at all? That's a total breakdown. Or maybe you respond with a whole sentence instead of one word, or you repeat the word back like you didn't hear it. All of these are ways your conscious mind stumbles when it trips over an emotional landmine. Get this, even forgetting what you said later is a tell. These aren't just mistakes. They are emotional giveaways. Okay, so let's get back to our theft investigation. So Jung takes his standard list of 100 words, and he cleverly weaves in words that are directly related to the crime. Then, he sits down with each of the 3 suspected nurses, one by one, and starts the test. So here's a taste of those critical words he used. Some of them are just the facts. Cupboard, key, 70, purse, even dark red, which was the color of the purse. But then he mixed in words designed to hit an emotional nerve. To lie, to fear, innocent. Now, for an innocent person, these words might be a little weird, but for the actual thief, they are a direct hit on a guilty conscience. And what he found is just fascinating. Jung wasn't just guessing here. He was looking at cold, hard data. Just look at this table. For the neutral, everyday words, the reaction times for all 3 nurses are pretty much in the same ballpark. But now, look what happens when they hear the crime-related words. For suspects B and C, the time goes up a little bit, but for suspect A, it jumps by a full 6 seconds. Her mind is clearly measurably struggling when it's confronted with the facts of the crime. This, right here, is the statistical smoking gun. And the data was just so powerful, so undeniable, that when she was confronted with her own results, suspect A, The nurse who seemed the calmest on the outside, but whose unconscious reactions were screaming the truth, she just broke down and confessed. The psychological key had worked. It unlocked the truth.
But for Jung, solving this one little theft was really just a proof of concept. The true power, the lasting value of his test, wasn't just as a lie detector. It was as this profound diagnostic tool, almost like an X-ray for the soul, that could show you the hidden structures that shape a person's entire personality.
So, what exactly is this complex thing he talks about? Well, in Jung's world, it's basically a knot of emotionally charged ideas and memories, all tangled up in our unconscious. And we all have them, a money complex or an authority complex. They kind of act like little magnets, pulling our thoughts and our behaviors in certain directions, a lot of the time without us even realizing it. The word association test was designed to find exactly where those magnets are hidden. And what's really wild is how these complexes show up through consistent patterns in the test. For instance, what Jung called the definition type is someone who always answers with a dry, objective definition, like saying a tree fruit for apple. He saw this as a defense mechanism, often hiding a deep fear of looking stupid. So they overcompensate by being super intellectual. Then you have the predicate type, who always reacts with a judgment, like beautiful for flower. Jung argued that this pattern often hides a lack of genuine feeling. It's someone trying to project more emotion than they really have. And all of this leads us to one final, really provocative thought. What Jung showed us is that our most automatic, unthinking responses, the words that just pop out, are packed with meaning. They can reveal the unconscious patterns, the hidden insecurities, and the emotional truths we try so hard to hide, even from ourselves. So the question to leave you with is this. If every word we speak is a potential window into our mind, what would your words reveal about you?